Nation, Guru Nation, Guru Nation, Guru Nation. Guru Nation, this is a really interesting podcast because I was not prepared at all. Not that I am for most of them, but like way less so. And my energies are off ever since Mexico. My microbiome's been completely rearranged. But like I'm here, we have Luis and Lana. They're the coordinators. We didn't prepare, so they're not mic'd up or anything. But you'll be hearing them talking, and then I will reiterate it to the camera, not to be rude, but so they could hear. New coordinators, or not even new. What do coordinators focus their tasks on? Source, regulatory, patient recruitment. I think that's a good topic. And like how much of your time to spend on that triangle. Because that seems to be like the majority of the task, right? That's like, is that 100% of what we do? Source, regulatory.
See patients, yes.
Yeah.
Right. And when you do, that's source because you're doing like.
Within, correct. And then
Yeah.
we can see if there are any other mistakes made, or that gives us a little reminder like, oh, we forgot to put this in and we forgot to put
There you go. So it's basically it's source, like that triangle, source, regulatory, recruitment, and how to spend your time. I guess what takes up the most of your time, I would say, is like source, like seeing patients and doing the source, right? Following the source. But even before you see a patient, you got to make sure the source is correct. You got to make sure, like, if it's a screening visit, the consent form is there. If it's like, if the protocol's been amended, which now you're getting into regulatory, then the ICF's amended, which then leads into source, which means you got to redo the consent form for the new patients. Then you got deviations, which we're experienced with recently, Luis, and then Lana too. But for Lana's, it wasn't really like, it just kind of got thrown in your lap. But it's the same deviation as this one for this patient. And that was kind of a consenting deviation. It was, we forgot to get the HIPAA on a patient because we were rushing. The patient was kind of weird. We probably shouldn't have screened him anyways. It turns out he screen failed because of methamphetamine use. So the vibes were off, but like we should have got the HIPAA still.
Yeah, we should have the HIPAA still. But yeah, at the moment, since it was like one of my first like screening by myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was his first solo. It was like
first solo.
You can say it.
It was Luis's first solo.
Yeah,
he was nervous.
I was nervous. I feel the pressure, and it was like, oh my god.
But that was where
I got the ICF, but I forgot the one of the most important too. That was a HIPAA.
Yeah, so this is gonna be like, that's part of source and regulatory, like where they meet. But I think that's like a fair 3 things that coordinators need to focus on. Is gonna be those 3 items: the source, the regulatory, and the recruitment. And they all like kind of work together at some point and like overlap. And obviously the better you do at recruitment, the more you're going to have as far as source goes, because you're going to have patient visits coming in. And then it trickles into regulatory stuff too, like investigational product or deviations. The more visits you have, the more deviations you're going to get. That's just the way it is. There's a whole other thing called quality assurance, quality control, which is like I'm supposed to do, which is kind of hilarious. But I have to do QA to make sure like these kind of things don't happen, but things fall through the cracks all the time. Deviations happen. It's the way it is. Sometimes deviation, not even like coordinator fault. Sometimes it's like out of window. A patient was out of window. We've had those, but typically consenting deviations are major. Like those are considered major, and you really try to limit those. And missing a HIPAA is like kind of a big one. But still,
consent to the IRT, and then you have to explain yourself, put the reasoning behind.
You have to explain yourself. Who do you explain yourself to? Who do you explain yourself to? The monitor?
Well, everybody. And
Well, everybody in IRB,
IRT,
right?
yeah, the IRT.
Kirby, IRB,
Kirby, yeah.
IRB. So then, okay, so now the coordinators are telling me once a deviation happens, it triggers some regulatory stuff. Typically, the IRB, especially if they're a consent issue or anything involving patient safety, means the IRB has to get involved. And did you guys know the more frequently you send deviations to IRB, they like have a itchy finger to like push a button and the FDA gets notified.
Yeah.
And then if the FDA wants to, they can just come in.
Shut it down.
Into an audit trail.
The FDA can come in with unannounced if they suspect fraud, but if they suspect like just incompetence, they will schedule a visit. So then you'll at least be prepared. And as soon as you get that notice from the FDA, you're supposed to tell your monitor because they want to come out before the FDA comes out to like clean everything up so that they don't look bad. And then the FDA, I've never actually been through an FDA audit, guys, so don't want to. But I don't want to find out. Maybe I'll go to Mexico again next time it happens. But it's important to pay attention to these things so that we reduce the probabilities of that happening in the first place. So like deviations, sometimes they're unavoidable, but typically not good, especially not good to repeat the same one over and over again.
So Luis was retrained.
Luis was retrained, and who did that? Lana did that. And that's part of regulatory. So now you just moving around from source to regulatory and then recruitment. Recruitment, do you guys say you're doing recruitment every day?
About every other day.
Mm-hmm.
Responding to leads,
Correct.
texting, emailing, following up.
Yeah, that's principle one of the most important tasks that we are doing every day.
So where would you say you allocate most of your time, like in a percentage, if it's 100%, source, regulatory, patient recruitment? You could have different answers. You're different people.
Me, I'd say like reg 75.
75 on reg?
Yeah.
Yeah, just because, like I said, we don't want to have any of these mistakes and continue making the mistakes that we have made already. Not only that, I mean, we still, we're all still learning. I myself, I mean, I can sit here and say, I don't know everything.
Wow, so 75% of your time is spent on regulatory stuff.
Oh, and double checking. So QA.
QA. Oh, okay, you're talking about QA, QC. Okay.
Intertwined as far as like patient recruitment.
Without QA, QC, how much percentage?
It's about a 40, 50.
Okay.
Yeah.
A little better, still way higher than I thought.
And then I think the rest of it's just recruitment. It's getting
Okay.
people in.
Getting
It's
people
trying again. You said,
So when I started out, like my first year of a coordinator, I was maybe 10% regulatory,
oh wow.
like, and then 40 source and 40 recruitment because I had no steady referrals. So I was like going out doing a lot of recruitment, but I would expect like 80% source, 10% regulatory, because regulatory is easy once it's like when nothing's going on, it's just autopilot. But when things happen, like amendments happen or deviations happen, then you get, or like new staff come on, then you got to train. So then it starts picking up like based on events. But like in normal times, regulatory is not really much. Maybe a SUSAR here and there, like here's a new suspected, unexpected.
We're juggling more than one study right now.
Yeah, you guys are juggling more than one
so,
study.
I mean, we try to, broadcast that out equally, which is why, when I do this, the referrals and stuff, I figure, hey, you call this person. I'm like, oh, hey, this looks like a Spanish speaker. How about it?
It will be more easy for you.
So you've been delegating. So there's a lead CRC, that's Katie. And then I put Lana in charge of recruitment/retention because she's really good. Her skill set's really good at like patient interaction. And then we have Luis and Grecia who are like kind of still gravitating towards, I think, one of those three things. Everyone's usually going to be better at one of those three things than someone else. It's just based on your affinities. But I think, are you comfortable with all three of those?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Comfortable.
So when do we know that we need to hire another coordinator? Because that was another one of the questions I got. Huh?
I said when we,
When we
the three coordinators lose it.
lose it. What do you mean by lose it?
For example, like let's just say Bowringer takes a hit and it just goes off the charts.
Oh, so you're saying like when it just goes crazy, you have way more patients than you expect, and you start having multiple visits a day, and at the same time, there's new studies coming up, which I've been having you do with one of our sponsors in NATO. We're getting new studies, and that's another thing that doesn't really fit in any of those three is getting new studies for coordinators. Typically, coordinators don't help in getting new studies, but I had Lana help us with that. It's not typically a coordinator's task. And then another thing that doesn't fit cleanly is like contracts and budgets or invoicing, which Lana, she has like a business manager background, so she's like an unusual skill set of a coordinator, which is a good thing. But typically, it's these three things we discuss. So when you guys are managing your clinic, this is, and you've heard it here first from coordinators, they will be the first ones to know when they need help. It's not really the director that maybe knows, unless you can have some foresight into it and kind of see ahead.
I mean, your status as a site director, you're actually involved, so you will know too. I
Yeah.
don't know how involved other site directors are, but you know, you being so hands on and you're on us as well, and you know, you will know. But I mean, as far as other sites go, you know, like in the CRCs,
You're going to meet them at SOS.
yes, when we
You guys are going to love me more after SOS, I know for a fact. Because you're going to meet other site owners there, and not all of them actually think about these things like in advance, like employee burnout, employee workload. I don't think we've had a point where anyone felt burnt out yet, or not even close. There's been days or weeks that it's very busy, but
like even when you were gone and on vacation, and Katie was on vacation as well. The three
We
of
didn't
us.
burn out, and
No,
we were.
I was there, delegated everyone to do anything equally. We all took it as a team. We all finished everything as a team. We did the visits as a team, except for the Spanish one, which I stepped on.
and it was source, regulatory, recruitment, like those three tasks,
I made sticky notes. I gave a sticky note to.
and QA QC that you've been doing. Interesting. Okay. And how do we avoid things like those consenting issues?
I mean, obviously, we'll be like paying more attention.
Luis says pay more
and
attention,
not feeling
by the
more
way.
pressure when you
I
got
showed
like,
him the
patient.
go-to. So when
Mhm.
you sign the ICF, HIPAA's right below it.
That one is tricky because it's like it's not our system that we typically
Even the
use.
little secret code where to go, and it pulls up
Mhm.
Yeah.
everything. So before the visit ends, even though
That one's tricky, and that's the problem with sponsors forcing certain technology that you're not typically accustomed to using. Because this mistake happened on it's a vendor we don't use out of our choice, our free will. It's the sponsor mandates we use this vendor. It's not Creo that we typically use, where we actually haven't had these kind of issues in Creo. Most our other studies, the informed consent, the HIPAA is embedded in the main consent, and in this case, it's not. It was two separate forms. Okay, so that's a good mix of the three topics: the source, regulatory, and recruitment. Do you think, because there are sites that, because we kind of do all of it together, like you said, as a team, there are sites that streamline. They say, no, Alana's going to do only recruitment. Luis is going to do only regulatory. And then Grecia is going to do only patient visits. And then you hire another person to do only data entry. And the idea behind this is like you can do more because each one becomes a specialist. But I personally don't like that approach because I don't think it's fair either. I think you
you're stuck doing
can
referrals all day, that's all you know.
Exactly.
And then if someone needs help, you don't know anything
You don't know
else.
how to help the person.
but it's not fair for it's also not fair for the individual because if you were to go work for someone else and you only did regulatory, they're going to say, "Nah, that's nice, but like I need someone to be able to do all three of these things and you've
His
never done it."
background, right? Like
Yeah.
that,
You don't have
Yeah.
a solid CRC background if you just designated one task.
But there's some sites that do it on purpose because they don't want you guys to leave. So you're like stuck with that site. No, I'm not doing
You're
that.
teaching us everything.
Yeah.
And that's cool.
Which we appreciate.
It's cool.
It's cool.
Anything else we're missing? This has been an interesting video. Daniel, you're gonna have a hell of a time editing this one, but I think the shorts will come out good though. There's clear, concise shorts. Anything else? No?
Just don't overwhelm yourself with all the regulatory and
Yeah, don't spend 80% of your time on it. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's great.
80?
And double check.
Oh, but she said QA too, so
yeah,
40.
So all that mixed.
Okay, yeah,
Because
40.
I always want to double check my work, and especially if a monitor visit.
Are you familiar with SIP? Like, are you on there? It sucks, but are you on? Yeah. It does suck, yeah. I almost had a seizure using it once because it started like strobing. But you got to use it. You got to use it. And then you got to know, like, a really good experienced coordinator knows when they need to do stuff rather than someone telling them, like a monitor usually, like, hey, this was a deviation. You got to train. You got to submit to the IRB. Like, a good coordinator, if it happened, there's nothing you can do to avoid it. You already go ahead and do all that stuff beforehand. And you guys are, like, at that point where you're learning that stuff, too. I remember when you reached out to me and asked me, I said, yeah, you got to do a training log now with Luis. Well, today, so it's done. That's the regulatory, source, and recruitment. What's your favorite one of those three? Recruitment? Like calling the patient or like doing the visit?
Oh no, calling them
Better than doing it.
better than doing it.
And you?
I will say the patient visit.
Doing the yeah, that's my favorite
Yeah,
too.
that's. I mean, I enjoy one of our studies the most.
I actually don't like calling them that much. I prefer to text.
I love it.
Lana loves it. See,
prefer
that's why I
text
put
too,
her in
but
charge
once
of
I run in the visit,
recruitment.
it's like the one I enjoy the most. Yeah.
And if you're a site director, like when someone likes one of these important things, have them do more of it. But the danger is like don't get them too specialized in it because it's not fair for them either. But if they have an affinity for it, they're gonna do it probably.
I like hearing their story prior to when they're coming in, so I already know what they're about.
She said she likes hearing their story prior to them coming
Have
in.
an idea of who they are, how I approach them, you know,
Yeah, and it's more easy to you because once you get like the subject ID number for the person, once they're like, oh, that subject number, yeah, it's, I don't know, example, Mary, that name, I don't know.
Someone in marriage just joined too. It's weird.
Oh my god.
Like right now. Well, does anyone like regulatory more than anything else? No one on our team, do you think? Yeah, I don't think so either. No one likes that stuff. There are people who like love that regulatory.
to me, I compared to charting back in the day when I was a nursing assistant, and let me tell you.
But charting is like source.
Correct. But at the same time, it's going back and double checking or filling in the blanks and that were missed throughout the visit, and I don't know.
But like research is unique because like they have this whole thing of regulatory forms that have nothing to do really with the patient visits. They're just part of the regulatory landscape of our industry. But anyways, you guys are good at being coordinators? You like it so far? 6 months in? Almost. 2 months in? Nice. 20 years in next year? I think so. Yeah, 2025. Oh my God. Like, subscribe, comment, and share. And Daniel, good luck with this one, man. Bye-bye. Hey, if you guys like that kind of content, make sure you like, subscribe, comment, share. Stay tuned for more videos.